Sociological theories of criminality, comparing and contrasting criminological theories, labeling theory, conflict theory, and radical critical criminology. Within the subject area of social process and social development, we have labeling theory. Labeling is essentially when society labels someone and then that person acts according to that label. In criminology, we tend to reference negative labels such as criminal, thief, convict, delinquent, or felon. Labeling theory was developed by Howard Becker in 1963 and says that the labels society assigns to individuals can considerably influence their behavior, especially within deviance and crime. Becker claimed that no act is intrinsically deviant or criminal, but defined as such by society. The primary deviance is the first initial acts of someone's deviance, may have been undertaking to solve some immediate problem they had or to meet the expectations of their subculture. Meanwhile, the secondary deviance is the continued acts of deviance, especially resulting from forced association with other offenders. Within the subject of social structure, we have the culture conflict theory, also known as cultural deviance theory. Culture conflict theory says that the individual is not necessarily responsible for their deviance, as much as the community within which they reside. This theory suggests that crime is caused due to the conflict of values that arises when different social groups or subcultures have different ideas of what behavior is acceptable. Culture conflict theory also suggests that deviance is relative, and what is considered deviant can vary among cultures. An action deemed acceptable in one subculture may be labeled as deviant in another, thus leading to conflict. Next subject area we have is social conflict. We have the radical critical criminology theory. This theory emerged from the beliefs of Karl Marx, yet was not developed until the 1960s. This theory suggests that those with the most power in capitalist societies make laws in order to control those in the lower classes. It argues that the ruling class of people create laws that protect their interests while criminalizing behaviors associated with the lower classes. Robert Seidman and William Chambliss stated, "The more economically stratified a society becomes, the more it becomes necessary for the dominant groups in society to enforce thorough coercion of the norms of conduct which guarantee their supremacy." Similarities in theories. Labeling theory, culture conflict theory, and radical theory all heavily focus on how society and culture are mainly responsible for one's deviant and criminal acts. I also believe that all of these theories help justify one's behavior to some extent. Now we have the differences in theories. Labeling theory focuses on labels from society and how they affect their individual behavior and further influence negative behavior, while radical critical criminology says that the crime comes from socio-political issues in capitalism, forcing lower classes into crime. Radical critical criminology focuses on how certain laws are created to criminalize certain classes, while cultural conflict theory focuses on cultural conflicts between subcultures, not necessarily in the political sense, as the radical critical criminology theory does. In my opinion, I believe that labeling theory does the best job of explaining deviance and criminality. In the TED Talk with Alice Goffman, she put labeling into perspective that I can't unsee, especially in the juvenile sense. It opened my eyes to the reality of labeling. In a psychological sense, your words do carry power, and I believe this carries over into the sociological field as well. If someone grows up hearing that they are a bad kid, at a young age, they will take on that label, and they are going to act out as such. This child then begins to be a self-fulfilling prophecy and becomes untamable. Even the parents stop disciplining the child. When that child grows up to be 11 or 12 years old and starts committing petty thefts, they will easily take the label of thief because they've always worn the bad kid label, so thief is easy to pick up. Then fast forward to age 17 or 18, and they start selling a little meth to get some extra money to help mom. And then they get labeled as drug dealer, which again is just easier and easier for them to wear. Society may have been okay with a few thefts, but once this person starts selling drugs in their neighborhood, then they get shunned, and they will likely never be trusted by the majority of society for the rest of their lives. Labeling affects one's identity and who they believe they are deep down. Labeling is hard to get rid of, especially in one's self-talk. Labeling can not only label a person, but can even label their whole family because of them. Labeling someone, especially as a criminal, can not only knock someone down, but keep them down because they no longer have access to so many opportunities others do. The other two theories are important, but I do not believe they affect criminology as a whole. They affect certain people groups, but labeling reaches across cultures, subcultures, genders, races, and socioeconomic statuses. Thank you.